Welcome back. Is Donald Trump going to confound pollsters and pundits once again like he did in 2016 and pull off a stunning second term? That's the big question that we, the world, is actually waiting to hear an answer to, as some of these polls, particularly in crucial states like Florida and Texas, extremely tight, but giving still Trump an edge. We have Sriram Lakshman with us. He's the U.S. correspondent for The Hindu, joining us from Washington, D.C. Sriram, what are you seeing and hearing, and what are you picking up?
Thanks, Srinivasan. Well, you said this is the question the world is looking to for an answer for. And I think right now people are a lot more coy this year, making predictions about who's going to win the Electoral College this early in the evening. And the reason is we haven't got numbers. The major news organizations, many of whom got it wrong last time, haven't yet called the major states, the battleground states, the crucial states like North Carolina, Ohio, Florida, Pennsylvania, Texas, Michigan. They haven't yet called those states, and that's where the election is going to be won or lost. The states that have been called so far are states that we thought would anyway go to Biden or to Trump, or were likely to go to Biden and Trump. So my answer to your question is it's just too soon to say right now. And based on what happened in 2016, I don't see many people sticking their necks out and making a prediction on who's going to win the Electoral College vote. I certainly am not at this point in the evening.
Sure, but what do you think, before we open it up, we've got Baj, Dorab, Maya are all still with us. In the event that we're looking at a path to victory, a second path to victory for Trump, what do you think is working for him, given that, as we know, going in, the odds seem heavily stacked against him, with coronavirus cases and deaths in America surging again, with the economy still faltering, unrest on the streets? Clearly, that doesn't seem to have been strong enough factors to have made a second path to victory for him impossible.
Yes. So there are certainly paths open to victory for Trump. It's just that Biden has more paths, and his path to victory is broader. Trump would have to hold on to Arizona, Florida, Georgia, Iowa, North Carolina, Ohio, and he'd crucially need to win Pennsylvania as well. Srinivasan, last week on Saturday, Trump did 4 rallies in Pennsylvania on one day. He went back to Pennsylvania, I believe it was on Monday. The Biden camp finished up in Pennsylvania, and there's a reason for this. Both states are looking at Pennsylvania as crucial to their victory. So literally in terms of winning,
sure,
that would work for Trump. But also, we have to look at who turned out at the polls today. Democrats typically vote early, and Republicans typically vote on Election Day, which was today. It's still November 3rd here. And we need to look at whether white men, that's still a constituency that Trump's been holding on to. We have to look at how many seniors have defected
sure,
to, some of them have defected to Biden. We have to see how many still stick with Trump this year.
Okay, Dara, Baj, you want to come in on how it's now shaping up? Pranoy also back with us to look at how the numbers are shaping up, particularly in those crucial battleground states.
Let Baj go first, I'll come later.
I think all the southern battleground states, Texas, Florida, North Carolina, Georgia, Trump is holding all of them. I would be very surprised now if Trump were to lose these, which means we are now really talking about the northern states between Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Iowa, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. There's 1 or 2 southern Sun Belt states that still have to come because they're more west. One is Arizona, that should be coming in soon, and the other is Nevada. Nevada is a Democrat state.
Baj, you're absolutely right. Let me just give you a quick update on those battleground swing states and just see what's happening there. And it's generally good news for Trump. Florida, let's look at that. More or less fully counted. It's Republicans are going to win that. It was a polling error, but it's been a complete turnaround and a huge victory for Trump there. Georgia, where we have about 50%. We'll just focus on Georgia for a second. Republicans are ahead there. Now moving on to Michigan. Again, this is a swing state which was meant to go to the Democrats. Republicans here are leading by 13% with about 30% of the votes counted. So that can change, but 13% lead. Look at Minnesota. Here the Democrats are leading. They're holding on to this swing state, which is very important for them. They were meant to win by 9%. They're at the moment leading with 30% of the votes counting. They're leading by about 30%. So Democrats are pretty solid in Minnesota. And let's look at another swing state, North Carolina. 80% of the votes have been counted, and it's just neck and neck. The lead that we're showing there for the Democrats is 0.15, and there's still 13% of the votes to be counted. So that's not a certainty at all. Pennsylvania, about 20-25% of the votes have been counted, and the Republicans are leading in Pennsylvania now. It's just gone ahead of that. It's changed, so it's just going back and forth, but it's a very narrow, plus or minus 1 and 2%. Wisconsin, about 19% has been counted. At the moment, the Democrats are leading, but it's again neck and neck. Earlier on, the Republicans were leading. In fact, I've got an update saying at 30% vote counted, the Republicans are ahead in Wisconsin by 3%. So basically, these are going back and forth. But look at that. The poll saying the Democrats should win this by 8%. And at the moment, it's very, very narrow. So all these, basically the bottom line is, as you go to these Democrat projected swing states, Republicans are doing much better than the polls projected and actually looking like winning many of them. So that's bad news. Now looking at the Republican projected swing states, that means where Republicans are projected to win by a very narrow margin, like this one, Ohio, Republicans projected to win by just 1%, and we have, I think, about 75% of the votes counted, and the Republicans are ahead by about 2% there. So they're holding on to their swing state. And now Texas. Let's have a look at Texas. Texas, so far, about 60% has been counted. If we move on to Texas, let's see. That's a huge state. Republicans were projected to win by 2%. At the moment, they are leading by 1.5 with 40% of the votes counted. So both their, 60% of their votes counted. So 40% left, and the Republicans are ahead by 1.5. So both the swing states, Republican projected swing states, are currently narrowly being held, or Republicans are in the lead. Let's go back to Georgia, where the Democrats, this is actually a Democrat swing state. At the moment we have about 50% of the vote counted, but the lead that the Republicans have here is over 10%. So there's still a long way to go to count, but with a lead of 10%, it's going to be a lot for the Democrats to change. So the bottom line is that the Republicans are doing very well in the Democrat swing states, and they need them. They need at least 3/4 of them to win the election. At the moment, they're heading in that direction, but we're talking about only about 40 to 50% of the votes counted so far.